word Spanglish.
Yes,
Do I
I'm
have
from
to-
Chile.
Do I have to talk in Spanglish?
No.
My
No,
Spanglish is not what it used to be.
really? Yeah. Well, my name is Fran from Spanglish Cinema from Chile. It's an honor for me to be here. I really enjoyed the movie. I loved it. And the first question is for you, Mr. Schrader. How does your creative process differ when working on an adapted script from an original, but in this special case, not only from a book foregone, but also from a friend? So, how do you keep the essence of Russell and you don't lose yourself?
Well, you do. I mean, when you adapt something, it's an adaptation. You find yourself inside it. I did an adaptation years ago on Last Temptation of Christ, and I thought about that, and I said, I think there are 7 scripts in this book. And which one is my script? And with this book, I thought there were 2 scripts in there. Which one was I going to say? So that's what you do. Once you find your script, it's still their book, but you just, because how many things happen in a movie? 35, maybe 40. How many things happen in a novel? 100. So you're going to find those 35 scenes that mean your movie, but they're still written by the author.
What was the other movie? You said there were 2 here.
The other one was about that trip to Texas, trip to California.
Yeah.
The on the road movie.
Yeah.
Mr. Gere, I wanted to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. I was a caregiver of my mom for 6 years, and she was cancer terminal. So yesterday I was moved by your performance, your talent, and commitment.
My dad, I don't know if you've heard me say, you can kick it.
Okay.
My dad said, my dad died about 2 months before Paul told me about doing this movie.
Oh my God, I'm so
And he was living with me. He didn't have cancer, but he was an old man. He was almost 101 when he passed away. He was living with me. And we had one nurse who was there. And his mind was starting to separate from his body. And his consciousness was separating from his mind. So there's many layers of dissolution that's happened. Mostly a mental process. Yeah, but it was important for me to get that right, based on my experience with my dad. He was in a wheelchair, and there were days he couldn't get out of bed. There's a lot of things that brought to Paul and said, this is the reality with this. And
It's
we incorporate it.
Thank you so much for that. Paul, I absolutely love the shoots and the shots and the changes of the ratio of the
Formats, yeah.
yes, the format. It was amazing. The a scene with Jacob in a call was like woof, incredible. So could you tell us a little bit about how do you decide to do that mix?
It's not a grand plan. It's just a way to help the viewer. So I made a film on Mishma years ago. The last day was cinema verite, washed out. The past was black and white, and the novels were theatrical. And I just did it this way so it would be easier to know which phase of reality you were watching. So in this case, the last day, dark hues, 133, trip from Richmond to Canada, load out, widescreen, random memories, black and white, his son's introduction, Bergman red orange, and these are not a statement, they're not an overview, they're just little handles to give the viewer that help them not be so confused.
Yes, definitely. And also, you can follow the emotions of the characters. That you feel that claustrophobic feeling when you have Richard in first.
Yeah, I mean, the secret of making that work is you have to know the cuts. You can't figure out the cuts in post-production. You have to know them in production because everything's being driven. So there's a scene where Jake's in the breakfast room. He turns and looks right into the camera. Why did he look right into the camera? Because he's driving the cut to a black and white sequence where he's in a restaurant. And then you cut back to him. So you have to know, I'm going to lay the splice right here. Jake, I'm going to act this line. I'm going to turn right into the camera and look right in. And I'm going to cut right there.
Great. But you know, which was one of the most difficult things for you to approach on the character?
It was just being clear going into the shoot what we were going to do. I mean, mechanically, we did a lot of work to get the look correct. And sometimes we went too far. We didn't go enough. We found the ground that felt comfortable for this movie. But the script was so clear. And as long as Paul and I were on the same wavelength of where we were in the story all the time.
Well, the scene I was most impressed by was Richard. I'd written it and I sort of imagined how it would work. But you don't know. So Jake leaves the room and Richard comes back in. So now Richard is playing this 20-some-year-old
I'm a
kid.
22-year-old kid, yeah.
Yeah. And
But I look like me.
yeah. And I was looking at that and I said, probably today I'm going to have to do this with Richard. We have to do some line reading, get it right. And then I saw the background and I said, oh, he's got it right.
And this question is for both. I imagine that when you transit this movie, you started to think about life and death. What are the reflections that you have?
Well, the impulse to unburden oneself, I think, is universal. The actuality is not. I think we all feel that, but not everyone does.
You know what's interesting with this guy, though, is that he goes to the past, but he doesn't say, I'm sorry. I think most of us would have the impulse to say, I'm sorry. Would be overriding. I need to release myself and them by saying, I'm sorry. But he doesn't go there.
Yeah, but he says you will know. Then
Well, that's what. But that's a narcissistic point of view. You will know me.
And then she asked, why is he doing that? I said, he takes his care, he wants a good time. I said, no, it's not true.
It's not true. Well, it's a very complicated movie and complicated character.
Yes,
No, the
it is.
simplicity of that is, when I look at myself, I want to unburden those things. It's I'm sorry. It's I'm sorry. I still say that now. If I remember something that I was horrible, I'm sorry. Please forgive me.
Well, thank you so much.